before you dive into wholesale real estate, I need to tell you something that will save you months of frustration and tens of thousands of dollars. After working with hundreds of students and seeing the same patterns over and over, I've been able to identify the exact reasons why most wholesalers fail. And it's not because wholesaling doesn't work, it's because they're making silly mistakes that kill their success before they even get started. Today, I'm gonna break down the 7 biggest mistakes that keep wholesalers stuck so you can avoid them and actually build a profitable business. Mistake number 1, they treat it like a hustle, not a business. Almost every wholesaler starts off hustling, which I did too. You're driving for dollars yourself, you're doing the cold calling yourself, you're closing your deals all by yourself, which is totally fine, but most people stay stuck there forever. They never graduate from building systems or processes that can run without them. No CRM, no KPIs, no lead tracking, no team that's helping them push deals forward, just random actions hoping for a big check. A real business has structure, leads come in consistently, follow-ups are automated, sales is handled by trained reps. All for you and me, the business owner, to focus on growth, not grinding 12 hours a day. That is how you hit consistent 10K months, if not consistent 50K months, not being a lone wolf. If you're still doing everything yourself for your wholesale business after 6 months of doing this, you don't have a business, you have an expensive hobby. Mistake number 2, there's no real lead flow. There's no question about it. Most wholesalers do not have a steady stream of motivated sellers coming in, and you might be in that same boat. They're relying on, scraping JVs from Facebook groups or trying to call 24 sale by owners a day and saying that they're trying to generate leads. They're kind of just taking shortcuts per se. Again, I've seen this time and time again. After coaching and helping hundreds of people be able to close their first wholesale deal, there's always a bunch of beginners that always want to take the shortcut by calling properties that are already listed online with the real estate agent, where you see the price that they're trying to sell it for and the realtor's number. We do not want to be calling those types of leads. That is not how you're going to scale this into a real business. I'm telling you, calling 20 random numbers a day is not lead generation. That is gambling, my friend. And I know what you might be thinking. You're doing everything that you're being told what to do in the beginning. You're sitting on the dialer, you're going driving for dollars, you're trying to generate, leads by cold calling, like actually cold outreach. And then you get a little bit tired thinking that it's not working, and you start just trying to find, sellers that are already interested in selling, but again, you're kind of taking that shortcut by going to the for sale by owners or properties that are listed by realtors. Somebody already beat you to those leads, or there's not a high chance of you actually being able to convert those leads. And on top of that, it's just not scalable. I cannot stress it enough. If you want to actually start hitting consistent 10K months, you need to have volume coming in, consistency coming in. What that means is pulling the right list, generating leads every single day, whether that's through cold calling, texting, leaving voicemails, putting sticky notes on a door. I've seen some people do that, or doing, paid ads like PPC or PPL. I don't recommend that as a beginner. No PPC or PPL as a beginner. Just start off with cold calling, but you need to be doing it every single day consistently, at least generating 2 leads a day. And the most important thing that I cannot stress enough is that you need to be tracking your results religiously. How many leads do you generate? How many people do you talk to? How many offers do you make? How many appointments do you go on? You need to be tracking those numbers. If new leads aren't hitting your pipeline daily, you do not have a business. You have hope, and hope does not pay the bills. Mistake number 3, they don't put in any sort of effort to try to master sales even the slightest bit. And here's the thing with wholesaling, it doesn't require a lot of sales skills. We're dealing with a lot of emotions, not so much logistics or logic, so it's a lot easier to navigate to the right solution. So I don't want you to think that you need to be a sales expert for this, but you need to put in a little bit of effort when it comes to mastering sales. Because here's the other thing, most beginner wholesalers think that they have a lead problem when it's really just a conversion problem, meaning they don't know how to get the deal cross the line so they can actually get the deal closed. They get the sellers on the phone, but they talk too much, they don't ask the right questions, they pretty much crumble once they get a little bit of pushback, and they don't know how to handle objection. They blame the leads, but really it's them. And for anybody that's done even the slightest bit of sales training in the past, we all know that the biggest red flag when it comes to salesmen is that they are blaming the leads. It's never the leads majority of the time, it's really the salesman. Because this business isn't just about finding motivated sellers, it's about closing them. That means mastering tonality, creating urgency, controlling the call, and making offers that get accepted without you having to beg. All you have to do is put a little bit of effort into mastering sales, and if you don't, you're just gonna be stuck sitting here saying, why do these leads keep saying that they need to think about it? The worst possible thing that you can hear after making an offer is, I need to think about it. I would much rather get told no or yes, because that is an actual decision. I need to think about it means that they're gonna go shop your offer around and you're never gonna hear from them again. Sales is a skill, not a born talent. You can learn it if you're willing to put in a little bit of effort. Mistake number 4, and man is this one huge, not having a follow-up system. Most wholesalers are leaving a lot of money on the table because they're just giving up after the first or second call. Or even worse, they don't remember to call back to the seller after the first or second call because they don't have things organized. Here's the truth. Majority of deals do not close after the first call. Sellers need time. They need time to think, to argue with their spouse, or to just get hit with reality. And let me just preface, this isn't me saying you need a follow-up system for the offers that you're making. Yes, definitely follow up with sellers that you've made an offer to, but I'm more importantly talking about a follow-up system to check in with sellers to see if they're ready to accept an offer. You never want to make an offer if the seller is not ready to accept it. So I just want to preface that. So if you are not following up consistently, somebody else is going to close on these deals. And I promise, checking in once a week is not a follow-up system. You're going to need structured follow-ups. I'm talking calls, text, emails, and you need a CRM to track all of this. The money is in the nurture, not the first pitch. And to be honest, if you don't follow up, you do not deserve to win. Somebody else is gonna grab that deal. Almost all of my biggest deals came from the 5th, the 6th, or even the 8th call out to that seller. Don't leave money on the table. Have a structured follow-up system. Now, mistake number 5, and this is probably the biggest, most common mistake that I see between every beginner wholesaler, is that they quit too damn early. Most wholesalers don't fail. They just tap out before anything real happens. They hit one slow month, a few bad leads, or a deal falls through. Now suddenly they're on to the next business model and they're trying something new. Every business has friction. That's not the time to quit. That is the test. The ones who win are the ones who keep pushing when times get hard, discouraging, or even boring at times. Sure, things get a little bit hard or discouraging or boring, but they keep on dialing, they keep generating leads. When they're hitting a rough patch, they're meeting with somebody that's a little bit more of an expert in this field of wholesaling so they can learn from somebody who's done it. That's not motivation. You don't need any motivation for that. That is true dedication. If you quit after 30 days, this was never for you, and that is exactly why you will restart at 0 with every new opportunity you come across. And funny enough, I was actually texting one of my students yesterday who has been debating on quitting or not, and this is exactly what he said, and let me just read you the conversation. This is what he said. He said, you know when a train falls off its tracks, and if it keeps going, the entire train will derail, and nothing can get that train back on track besides heavy machinery. That's exactly how I feel right now. Fell off the tracks. If I keep pushing, I'll end up all the way off the rails, and the only thing that could save me is the piece that I'm missing. This is how I responded. I hear you, bro, but you're not some train that needs outside machinery to save you. You're not stuck on a track and you're not helpless. I know it feels like you're doing everything right and still nothing's working, but that doesn't mean you're broken or missing some magic piece. It just means you're in the part most people fold during. The part where it feels like nothing is clicking, but this is where the ones who make it push through anyway. You don't need to be saved. You need to keep showing up, even if the progress isn't loud right now and you're not doing this alone. And you know what he responded with? He said, you're right, bro. Because I am right. He's not some train. He doesn't need to be saved by some magical potion or something like that. He just needs to keep working and showing up. Now, on to mistake number 6. These wholesalers are doing everything alone. Most wholesalers stay stuck because they isolate themselves. They try to wear every single hat. Lead generation, acquisitions, dispositions, transaction coordination, talking with attorneys, you name it, they're wearing every single hat. And honestly, it's ego. They think grinding solo proves something when all it does is slow them down. You don't need to do it all. Hire a $6 an hour virtual assistant that can do the cold calling for you. JV with other wholesalers so you can just focus on acquisitions and hand off dispositions to somebody else. If your thing is that you don't want to split a check, again, it's ego. Seriously, if you're doing this solo or if you don't have any partners that you're doing this with, I highly recommend JVing with other wholesalers. Get contracts signed, pass it off to another wholesaler to sell the deal, or vice versa. You network with other wholesalers, join a group, and just start finding the buyers for all of their deals. You don't need to be in this alone. That's the beauty about wholesaling. You can focus primarily on what your strong suit is and still make a fucking bag. But But most people don't even know that's an option because they're not plugged into a community. No mentor, no one calling them out, and no one showing them what mistakes that they are making. All they have is just YouTube and trial and error. And that's fine, but it's gonna cost you a ton of headaches. Every serious player has somebody in their corner. Somebody who's already been where you are trying to go. Without that, you're stuck guessing and making the same mistakes for months on end. Now, mistake number 7, this is what I like to call shiny object syndrome. A lot of wholesalers don't fail because wholesaling doesn't work. They fail because they keep jumping ship whenever something new pops up. One week it's Airbnbs, next week it's drop shipping, the next week it's Amazon FBA, crypto, content creation. They chase every money trend instead of mastering one. If you want to get dangerously good at something, you need to be locked into it for a serious amount of time. The real money only comes when you go in deep, not wide. That's what she said. Anyways, wholesaling works, but only if you do. If you were always pivoting because it didn't work after 30 days, you were not an entrepreneur. You are a professional dabbler. 10K months come from getting boringly good at the basics, not jumping ship or quitting once things get hard. Look, I'm not trying to scare you away from wholesaling. I'm trying to save you from the mistakes that kill 90% of the people who try this business. The members who succeed in my Inner Circle program are the ones who take this seriously from day one. They build systems, they master sales, they avoid these 7 mistakes, and they stay consistent even when times get tough. If you're ready to approach wholesaling like a real business and want to learn from somebody who's actually doing deals, not just teaching theory, check out the program in the description. But only if you're serious about putting in the work. I'll see you in the next one. I love you.